pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you everyone for being here on this historic February 29th Leap Day. Okay, we've got our agenda, and we'll have one addition to the agenda. It's the everybody on the same page proclamation for the libraries.
I'd make a motion to accept today's agenda with the addition of the library proclamation.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been second, approve the agenda with that addition. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, all in favor then say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, one thing we'll do, we've got the minutes attached of the previous meeting, February 22nd meeting. Is there any additions or corrections to those minutes?
I see none. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
And I'll second that motion.
All right. Been moved second to approve the minutes as presented. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, all in favor then, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. That motion's carried, the minutes are approved. Okay, let's do this proclamation. It's everybody on the same page proclamation, whereas the Carroll County Library Association has created a countywide reading initiative titled Everybody on the Same Page. And whereas library directors in that association have selected the book The Orphan Train by Christina Baker Klein to be the 2016 book selection for County Reading Initiative. And whereas multiple copies of the book will be available to county residents in many forms as possible at the Carroll, Coon Rapids, Glidden, and Manning Public Library. And whereas additional events to broaden the reading experience are planned in various Carroll County communities. And whereas the initiative is planned to begin on March 1st, 2015 and end on May 1st, 2016. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Supervisors, Carroll County, that supervisors proclaim the period March 1st through May 1st, 2016 as a great time to get everybody on the same page to read and discuss a chapter in Carroll County history. Okay? All right, and we've been at it, and
I'd make a motion to authorize the chairman to sign the library proclamation.
I'll second that motion.
it's been moved second to authorize signature on this proclamation. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
keeping up our program for us. Thanks very much.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Have a great week.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have two plats. One is south of Glidden. I'm not sure if it's former Carroll and Orjean Nielsen site, there's somebody else living there. It's an established acreage, and let's see. That is the one. Can't find it here. And on the flip side is the other plat. Just have it right here. Okay. And, okay, that's over just south of Highway 30 there along the blacktop. And they're expanding a plat there by a few acres. A smaller acreage is gaining ground and getting larger there. Okay.
The first one, I wasn't sure if I was reading it right, maybe one of you can help me, but were they just going along a waterway there or something? Is that what that's?
Which one?
The first one, the one that's in Richland?
Kind of the
No,
building site
there's a
places.
building site there, and they're just outlining a building site.
Okay.
There's
Yeah.
existing buildings all through there.
Okay, I just wasn't sure,
Buildings
in
and
fact, I know I
trees.
wasn't
Yeah.
reading it right then, so.
Yeah, there's no waterway there, there's a creek over here, but that's not involved.
Yeah, it's just-
Well, it looked too far over for that.
Yeah.
Creek is
so-
way to the west,
Yeah.
Yeah.
about a quarter mile.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, whatever. So, they're just outlining an established acreage, and it is a little less than 5 acres, but certainly meets the specifications.
It's existing, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, I'm familiar with that. I've stacked bales on that acreage. Okay. Any other questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the plats.
I'd second that.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the two plats. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. That is motion carried. Okay, at 9:15, we have telephone conference. Let's go to number 7, Maple River Contract for Services discussion. We've had a request there to increase the hourly pay from $30 to $50 an hour.
I think our question was the date on it.
Yeah.
And there was a
Did you get
question on the
clarification?
date on there.
You know, and I talked to him, but I didn't ask him about the date. That was my mistake.
Yeah, he would want the contract to be on fiscal year rather than when this is going on, is
Okay.
my understanding. And I would just instruct John to make it effective through June 30th of 2017. You know, make it go into effect in July 1. Because that is what he wanted. And I don't have any issue, I guess, with that.
Okay.
So we go into effect July 1 then.
Yeah, upon approval, I guess.
And it'll be an annual contract?
Yeah, I think it'd be a lot easier to keep it on our radar if it was a fiscal year rather than, you know,
Calendar
kind of a
year.
goofy time, especially around March, because we're usually pretty busy at that time.
He's not interested in a longer contract?
I didn't ask him.
Okay. All right, the contract, apparently, we prefer that it read effective through June 30th, 2017, with annual periods upon approval of Board of Supervisors, which is written in the contract. And adjusting of the hourly wage from 30 to 50. Okay, we can get it rewritten to say that. The one I have has just been penciled in, obviously. But if that's the wishes of the board, is there a motion to approve that contract? And we'll document in the minutes that the hourly rate would be changed to $50 an hour, and the effective date would go through June 30th of 2017.
So moved.
Okay, I'll second it then.
So moved.
That proposal has been moved and seconded for this contract of services. Is there any other discussion, any other?
Just as a history thing, do we have any idea how many hours that were put in the past in
I can
years?
look it up.
It's not a big deal, I was just curious.
I can look it up. Because whatever we paid him, we just divide that by 30 and
Okay.
be able to figure out his hours.
Do you want
Pretty
that
easy to-
information now or after the meeting? Mark?
We can get it afterwards.
Okay.
I know, one thing that we hadn't been getting just due to a communication breakdown is the monthly report on some of this, but we're getting that now, so that's a good clarification to have as well.
What we're getting.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, otherwise we,
And I think maybe we should put under heat also for budget purposes, we want to add to build some sort of little lean-to over that equipment. Maybe we ought to clarify that, make that part of that motion also, because he wants to do that for the fiscal year.
Yeah, that's in his request here.
In his notes.
And it
Not
would
on the
come out of
contract.
the Maple
No.
River Fund, which isn't budgeted
Yeah.
anyway.
Okay.
And there is funds available to do that.
Because he's having issues with that, some of that
The
equipment,
monitor.
and thinks the sun is
okay.
affecting.
We got a motion on the floor to approve this contract with the changed dollar amount and effective date. And would you like to amend that motion by authorizing the small shade cover, I guess what he's called it?
I would.
I would amend that.
Okay.
No, I'll
Then
second
moved and
that.
seconded to amend it. Okay. All right. I think technically we're supposed to vote on the amendment to the motion first, so we'll do that. Any discussion on the amendment to the motion? Okay. All right. Then let's vote on the amendment to the motion to add the shade thing on there.
I'd make a motion to that effect, to add the shade on.
Well, there's
Okay.
no more. You're
Are you-
voting, right?
We're
Or
voting.
amending it, just amending it.
Okay.
Voting on the amendment
Yeah.
itself.
Okay. All right. All right.
As
Yeah,
an
we have
amendment.
a
A motion.
motion to
Yeah.
amend,
Yeah.
to add this amendment. So we'll vote on that amendment now. All in favor, is there any discussion first? Okay. All in favor of the amendment to the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Okay, now we have a motion that has been amended, which is the original motion for the contract end June 30th, $50 an hour. And it also has been amended to authorize the construction of this shade cover over the flow meter and the UV control panel. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that's the motion as amended. Is there any discussion on that? Okay, then we'll vote on the motion as amended. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion is carried. All right, got that taken. Okay, at 9:15, which is about 4 minutes, we're going to be discussing this engineer's report, or actually with the Greene County. They're gonna do a bid opening on drain 86-150. Is there anything we need to discuss in advance of that? I'm not aware of anything. Are they calling us?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. We'll be ready for that call. Okay. All right, I am going to move down then. We have just a little time to do the manure management. And we have one manure management plan. It's for New Fashion Port Farm 313 Elite Finisher, Section 12 Newton Township. There's a change in the crop rotation for maximum yields, and they're using manure analysis. Okay, just, that is our manure management update. Oops. Okay. Courtney, could you explain our other manure management you received and just explain that?
Yeah, there's a construction permit. I don't remember the name. We have a construction permit.
Clucky's.
Clucky's.
Dave Clucky, I believe.
Yeah, and they aren't adding any new buildings, but they're expanding, kind of like the one we had.
Dennis Kennebeck's.
Yeah, so I'm gonna contact the DNR and find out if they're gonna do a site visit, and if they are, then I'll let you all know when that date is. But we're still required to do a public hearing and things like that, so we can, so that's what I'm going to do. I'll contact them today and find out if they are gonna do a site review. And then I'll get you the date. So probably will be on the agenda next week to set the public hearing for that.
Okay. Well, we still have a few minutes. I'll just start. I have a couple really brief committee reports, and try to get a few of them in until the phone rings. First of all, I just want to report on the situation with the examining board. They had met, and I should have given a report last week, but they have requested and received the list of candidates for the assessor's position. I haven't seen that list yet, so I'm not sure how many candidates are there. They're going to vet that list, and if they find qualified candidates, they will make a recommendation or some recommendations to the conference board, who will interview or discuss that and hire a candidate. If they do not, then we're going to request that a test be given, and the test for that is already scheduled for one of the first or second Saturdays in April. And rather than have a special test where the people would have to pay $500 to take it, I think if they don't find a candidate, we will just rely on that and then interview again. So that's the situation there. Also did the radio newspaper last week and basically talked about our budget a little bit. Also, I followed up on a letter to Bill Heckroth. I noted in his last alert to us that the Senate File 2236 was a top priority, and they wanted to get it taken care of, which is our CAT. And I requested from him a list of the people in Farm Bureau who are the decision makers there, and I would like to contact them. Any of us can, and first of all, I think there's a unique perspective here. As a county supervisors, we all have a pretty good feel on how the people of Carroll County feel. And secondly, I'm the supervisor who's on that board. I'm also a Farm Bureau member, and I also pay property taxes in 3 different regions, mental health regions. So I don't know what else Farm Bureau could want from a perspective that would represent their membership of the people they're concerned about. So I'm going to get that from him. Bill is always good at getting back to me. And the other thing is I sent a letter, and I just did this morning, to Shannon. This has to do with the housing situation. Just haven't heard anything. Have you heard anything, Gene?
They were supposed to be coming out with a chapter, some chapters here last week, and I have not heard anything.
My last communication on February 2nd, we asked about that, and at that point, she had a follow-up, Amy, with regard to the status of Carroll County. Amy stated that travel couple of the projects put her behind, but ours is now a priority. Within a week, we'll have several draft sections. Well, that was February 2nd. That week has well been. So I
Another month.
just sent her a
It's March 1st tomorrow.
polite reminder that I haven't heard
Supposed to have it in
anything.
December.
What's going on? Okay, let's do Greene County. Good morning, Neil here. Good morning, Michelle. I'm putting you on, yes? Okay. There is no one here for this particular issue. Do you want to just call when your initial public hearing is over, and we'll open this one a little late? Okay, very good. I'll wait for your second call. Bye. Greene County has got a public hearing on another situation, which is running a little long, and they didn't want to mess up our schedule, but I said, that's not a problem. I don't think there's anybody here from the public on this drain, so they're gonna call us back when they're ready. Okay, so, where I was left off was on that RDG, and that I had just sent a reminder to Shannon that I haven't heard anything yet, and I wanted an update from her, and I'm sure she'll respond to that as well. And, so that's my committee reports. Okay, I think we're just gonna, well, and, this week I'll be signing RSVP checks, and there's a legislative forum Saturday, and this one is at St. Anthony's Hospital at 10 a.m. Okay. Until we get a phone call or secondary roads or something, I think we'll continue with committee reports. Mark, could you continue?
Sure. Pretty brief week, as Thursday was the busy day. Gene and I met with members of the Conservation Union, and after significant dialogue, it appears as though we are at a state of impasse. We've had they've had every opportunity to present us with a offer to accept the amount of wage increase that we have 3 other units, the comp board, and every other non-represented employee in Carroll County at. So we talked about the possibility of a 1-year deal, and we also talked about the possibility of a 2-year deal. And I'm disappointed in their decision, but it looks as though Renee will await the outcome of what I'm suggesting to do next week, is have a closed session next week to strategize on our response, because that response will be important as far as how they decide whether or not they choose to arbitrate or not.
Will Renee be available for that closed session?
She said she would be. Just let her, give her an approximate time, and I told her I knew that we had our public hearing for our budget, and then we also had some bids, but other than that, I think she's going to be fairly open. She just said to respond back to a time, but I think, rather than to adhere to negotiations, laws and things like that, that we should probably do that under closed session. So that's going to be my suggestion. You have an approximate time for that?
The first thing we have is at 10 o'clock, which is those hearings.
Okay, so we could have it at 9 a.m.?
Could.
Okay, let's shoot for that, and if that doesn't work, I'll let both of you know for that. And then following that, we met with we'll call it a consortium or a co-op that's been formed. Members of Gene and I, and then also Renee sat in on it, along with management and union members from the ambulance committee about their grievance. As you know, we have responded back to their proposal that we don't feel like they've got an arbitratable grievance, and although they'd like to keep that opportunity open, they agreed to meet in a cooperative fashion, in which I thought we made great strides in trying to find solutions for what is being called workplace squabbles, more so than anything. It's, there was 4 members of the union that are all full-time paramedics that all had a voice at the table. Pat was here. I thought Pat represented management well that day. And what we've essentially decided to do is we're going to try and find a equitable and a neutral mediator to try and host several meetings to try and get everybody, you know, back on square one and try and resolve some of those issues that are going down there. Gene, do you have anything to add? Is that a pretty fair
No,
synopsis?
Very fair. I think too that I was surprised we did get to where we were at, and I think it'd be some money well spent. You know, we're talking like an hour session, maybe 2-3 times, and that's it. Because I don't think you want to have those last any longer than that, or because then it gets carried away, so. And they were very receptive to that, and yeah, I thought it went very well. I was surprised. I didn't think we was going to get to that point, but we did.
It was lengthy, but well worth the time. So we'll report back on the any movement on that. But they were going to try and find it,
Yeah,
you know,
well,
on their own.
Renee
They
was
had a
gonna
couple
see.
suggestions.
Yeah, Renee was going to check, see if she could find somebody.
Okay.
And then on Thursday night, both the E911 Commission and EMA, Emergency Management Agencies, met, the Joint Service Board. I'll report first on E911. It was the public hearing for both budgets. There was nobody in the public in attendance. There was no comments about both budgets. Both budgets passed. But the first thing I want to talk about is, you might recall, the day that Doug announced his resignation was the same morning that we appointed him to that commission, and so he could act as chairman. And then now he's announced his decision. So I'd like to, on next Monday's agenda, is I would like you to consider, they thought the best thing to do is, you know, we all know that Ken is going to be appointed as the chairman, but he also has a race to contend with in November. So they thought we should just make the language that we should appoint the sheriff or sheriff's designee as a member to that commission, and then I will still serve as a liaison and report back to the Board of Supervisors. So if that meets your agreement, then we'll just place that on Monday's agenda, and we will just name the sheriff or the sheriff's designee.
Okay.
And then that commission will name that person to serve as chair. Okay?
Is that the E911?
That's the E911.
Okay. All right, we can pick up on that a little bit here. We've got someone that traveled a ways to get here, and are you here to talk about the house barn?
No.
Okay.
No,
Okay, you're here for?
I just was over at the treasurer's office.
Just here,
giving
okay,
some
okay,
money,
I knew
so
someone was coming for the house
thought
barn.
I'd say it.
Okay,
Thought she'd pop
okay,
in.
you're here just to enjoy the action, right? Okay, very good, okay, go ahead then, Mark.
No, that's fine. No other real important news from E911. And then EMA was, again, pretty much standard fare, approved the budget. But there is something that's, that I do need to report back, is that the county tax asking for that has fallen to just over $11,900. So some of that is due to how we're going to use some of Sherry's labor in on that, and that comes out of, so that will reduce her budget as well. And then so that in turn is going to find a little bit of cost savings in the agency as well. So the tax asking is just $11,900, and the EMPG is expected to remain the same. So outside of that, and again, Doug is already, serving as the chair on that one, and so they'll change that. Once again, that takes place when we meet again in April. There was a little bit of discussion about Sarah's pickup. Sarah's pickup has quite a little bit of rust to it. Not a ton of miles on it, but whether or not to fix the rust or whether to just trade it, and the commission or the agency decided just to bid for a new pickup and trade it next year, as they've got plenty of money in that reserve budget. So that's it for E911 and EMA.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
I had the Region 5 Hazmat meeting last Wednesday, and it was, we went over the budget. The asking, I guess this is the first time I knew that, was $1 per
Capita?
per capita, yeah. And that will continue the same. Their asking will not change. They had sent a letter to the Attorney General's office on the Tony's Tire situation, and hadn't heard anything back from the Attorney General's office. There was a presentation. They're trying to get presentations from all companies that are in the region that rely on the region task force. And Eaton Corporation was gave a talk on their company in Belmont, Iowa. It was very interesting. One interesting note is that the company is very large, huge. And they used to be headquartered in Cleveland. Now they're headquartered in Dublin, Ireland, which seems to be the way things are going. 30% of their employees are from outside of Belmont, Iowa. A population of 2,500 people. They have 300 employees. They have 11% minorities. They make engine valves there for combustible engines, and that's what they do. Anywhere from 2 feet to, yeah, it was a very interesting presentation. As far as business is concerned, they're adding 2 new hazmat members. They had 2 retires. They're also looking to replace their mobile hazmat unit, which is now 16 years old. And so they're going to go out and get bids either to get a used, new, or to refurbish. Okay. I'll finish later.
Good morning, Neil here. Doing fine, John. I'm gonna put you on speakerphone here, okay? You there yet, John?
Yep, still here.
Very good. Okay, we're all here at the Carroll County Supervisor Room. Our full board is present, and we're here for the bid opening for Drain 86-150 repair. You have the bids there.
Yeah, we do.
Have you opened them, John?
Nope, we haven't opened any. We got the full board, Michelle Fields, John Milligan, and Jacob Hagan
Okay.
from MHF, and they're gonna open them now.
Okay.
Full board.
They got their full board, yeah.
How many bids do you have, John?
There was 3 bids. Jacob's got them. He's kind of shy. He doesn't talk very loud, so I don't know if he needs to speak up. Yeah, speak up loud. I would yell at somebody. We'd like to thank everyone who put together bids for this project, and thanks for showing up. I'm just going to read the total bid, and when every bid is done, I can go through the itemized costs. You will all receive an itemized bid tab in the mail later, so if you don't want me to go through every single item, I don't have to. First bid is from Healy Excavating. Who's that? Healy Excavating. And their bid total is $47,276.10. Next, we have Hatch Grading and Contracting. And their bid total is $67,785 and no cents. And finally, our third and final bid from Leroy and Sons Incorporated is for $42,152.50. I would recommend awarding project to Leroy and Sons for the amount $42,252.50. Upon review.
Could you repeat that amount again?
42,152.52.
$42,152.50.
All right, thank you.
50 cents, okay.
We have a notice here.
Either I wrote it down wrong first.
No, he pronounced it different.
Was it Jacob?
We have, if you guys want to fill this out or sign this.
Hey, Jacob, Mark Beardmore from Carroll County Board of Supervisors with a question. Did you have an engineer's estimate available?
We did, and it was around, our bid estimate was 40,000,
40,000.
so we're 2,000 over our estimate. Any other questions from anybody? You guys want to or need to listen to a listing of the broken down costs, or just they'll get those to you?
Get some to us.
Yeah, just get them to us, I think it's fine.
Provide them to us. We don't need to hear the listing at this point.
Okay.
If there's any issue, you'll certainly contact us.
And likewise.
Jacob will review them and ensure that they meet
Yep.
criteria and so on.
Okay. We motion to accept the bid. Need a motion to accept the bid
It's a Carroll County
from
contractor,
Leroy and
why don't you
Sons
let
for
them make the motion?
$42,152.50.
I so move. Rudolph?
Upon review. Upon review and verification. Don Rudolph made the motion. Do you guys have a second?
I'll second it. Marty Danzer.
Marty Danzer, second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll
Opposed?
abstain.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we have one supervisor staying. I believe there's a family history there, or relationship, I should say.
Which one?
Gene Miners.
Gene Miners, conflict of interest situation.
All right. Well, is there anything else we need to do? We'll let you guys get. Motion to go out of drainage. I'll second it. Second. Yeah, can I get a second from you guys?
Neil Bach will second the motion.
Okay,
Go
all
out
in
of
favor?
session.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
What was that?
Well, we'll let you guys get back to your work.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Have a good, see you later.
Bye.
Public hearing.
Huh?
I didn't think there was a public hearing.
Neil, was the estimate cost on the acre was $13 something?
Yeah, it was like, it was just a few dollars per acre. I thought I wrote that down, but, maybe I just
I don't think I
calculated
wrote
it
it
out.
down.
But, you know, it's dangerous, it was like a few dollars an acre, like 13, but it's dangerous to say that because,
Well, that varies on what the need, the
because
benefit it is.
it's gonna be different for everyone
Prorated, yeah.
depending on their
Based
level
on
of.
their-
Yeah.
So, in reality, probably nobody will be assessed exactly that amount, but the average will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have that number of acres here in the drainage district. I could look that up and refigure it, but, yeah, it was quite economical.
No problem.
Okay. All right, we got that. Okay. All right, running just a little behind, but we had 9:30, we'd scheduled for a closed session for Iowa Code 21.5. And it's my understanding that it has to be your request to have a closed session, is that correct, Pat? And you've checked with county attorney, this is the correct section to have that under, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so, right now, since it's at 9:34, and I would entertain a motion to go into closed session per Iowa Code 21.5I. Is there such a motion?
I have one question. John was planning on being here. Have you talked to John at all?
I haven't talked to him as far as I know he's planning on being
Do we want to wait for John to do some other things, or do we want to go into it?
If you want to wait for John, we could do a few committee reports, just run a little later. I don't have any objection to that.
fine to me.
Okay, let's do that then. Let's move along, and if you want to call John while we're doing this, you can do that, Pat. Dean, you were in progress.
Yep, I'll finish mine up here, but I don't have too much left here. I was commenting on the replacement of the mobile unit. 16 years old, so it's been around, and they will, they do have some capital money that they can use. They did, this is one of the reasons why they formed a foundation, so they could get money from corporations, donations for this. So I think they're counting heavily on that to help with this mobile unit. A lot of the corporations there agreed with that. Kevin Danner from from Ralston Co-op had said that, as they're going through their merger, he thought that there was a lot of coverage with the new map that they would also want to contribute towards this. So I think there's going to be a lot of foundation money coming, which is a good thing. There was enough foresight, to form this, and so I don't think that's going to be an issue. I think for a new one, it's $500,000. So.
With that contribution, is that usually for just for a general fund, or is it for specific projects or equipment, or how does that come in?
It's a general.
General,
Yeah. I think they buy suits out of it, they buy equipment. It's basically for equipment. So, then I'll just skip to incidents. What they had for incidents, it was kind of a quiet quarter as far as incidents is concerned. They did have an elderly couple call in, had 8 pounds of mercury in their garage they didn't realize they had. And along with the DNR, they were able to dispose of it. There was the Humboldt County Sheriff's Department had a suspicious propane tank found alongside of Gravel Road. It was found that the propane cylinder had been modified and was filled with anhydrous ammonia. By the recommendation of the state, the cylinder was transported to a nearby farm field, and the Sheriff's Department disposed of it. So you know what's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a rollover in Pocahontas County. A semi-fuel tanker had rolled over, basically taking a corner too tight, tipped the semi-trailer, not completely over, but enough that they had to offload the 7,000 gallons of diesel fuel before they could right it. Another tanker from Wessel's Oil Company came, and they were able to pump it from one to the other. They received some equipment from the state of Iowa for the turkey euthanasia in case there's another avian outbreak, and it's basically to seal the building and then euthanize the turkeys inside. So that was basically that meeting. I have nothing. I'll be out of town this next week.
Do you need anyone to go to any meetings for you, Dean?
No, I have no meetings this week.
Okay. Okay. All right, thank you, Dean. Dave, We are kind of waiting to go to closed session, but do you want to try to get your business in? We can always
Yeah.
pick up again with committee reports. We're just using them as fill-in, as our agenda's got a few waves in it today.
Good morning, Dave.
Morning, Dave.
I'm Maxine.
Maxine?
Um,
Yeah.
It's all right.
Something stuck in my mind.
It's okay.
should be one for everybody here. The DOT budget probably is gonna have to be amended. I think they're gonna start the Brody Bridge in April, and if they do start the Brody Bridge, we'll be expending some more on construction, and we'll go over what we have budgeted currently. And I updated the receipts on this, just merely to show the higher balance that we came into this year with. Courtney just said, you mentioned something about the balances getting lower in the secondary road fund.
Yes, it is.
And I didn't update all the expenditures. There's some expenditures along with this amendment that could be lowered in the DOT, but I'm gonna leave them there because it gives some latitude with the DOT as far as amendment. We can, any one of these boxes, these bigger boxes here, on the second page on expenditures, we can exceed any amount in there by 10%, as long as the bottom line does not exceed the bottom line. The items that I chose to amend were Oak 20 construction, the 1.5 million. Brought that from 1.221 million to 1.5 million. That, should the Brody Bridge get complete, that should give us enough funding, enough leeway, assuming none of our culverts that we're gonna let next week start. And if that would happen, I don't expect that to happen, but if that would happen, that would force probably another amendment. Trying to time all this stuff with the fiscal year in the middle of the construction season gets to be a challenge. Part of the reason, if you look at this, last year we spent $273,000 in construction. This year we're going to spend 1.5 million. It's kind of a cyclic thing, trying to gauge it and get it done.
It's always where the axe hits the log, isn't it,
It
Dave?
is, just amend the budget.
Yeah.
Go on.
So you're basically increasing expenses $250,000 roughly.
Yes.
And that's
On construction, and I raised snow removal, which is in the middle of this box right here. Snow
Snow
removal,
nice.
and even $400,000, kind of looks like we could get that pretty easily.
What was that?
That was $280,300.
280,000.
That's certainly close enough. So those are the two expenditures that are raised. I modified the actual receipts, and we get into expenditures here under the actual to where they reimburse instead of, we don't have time to go there right now, so it's not worth it.
But Dave, you did amend some actual receipts on the front.
I did on the actual.
Which ones? Do you mind going over those real quick?
The beginning balance is now 2.814574 million of this period, of this fiscal year. And that was estimated at 2.203498, so there's about $600,000. And that's primarily due to the construction not getting done in that fiscal year. That balance was quite a bit higher. I'm thinking, I've got to get my actual one here. In the next column, We didn't receive any bridge replacement funds. Line 5, $264,000 would have been in there. We didn't receive any. That was for the Brody Bridge, which didn't get constructed in that period. But we did receive RISE funds on line 4 of 118, and that was not in the original budget. 26, 73.
What is that line 5 again?
Line 5, bridge replacement funds, we did not. There was $264,000 initially budgeted. We didn't receive that. We'll receive that here in this next fiscal year after we get the Brody Bridge in. And probably the other biggest one would be down under miscellaneous receipts, under the fuel depot. We budgeted $413,550 in there, and I pared that down to $220,500. In the next few weeks, we'll be doing the DOT budget for 2017, so that'll have updated receipts, everything current.
Okay. All right, so we have a DOT budget which you'd like to amend.
Yes, it's the first amended budget for fiscal year 2016.
Okay. Do we have to have any type of public hearing on that, or can we just do it by motion
We
today?
just do it by motion. I'll put it in the computer that, Courtney will give me the book and page that they recorded it on. I'll just put it in the computer that it was done. I've already got a draft of it in there. I can make it final, I need the book and page, or the minutes that it's put in. They'll check it, they'll be happy.
Okay.
This is to basically keep us in with our code responsibilities.
Sure. Sure. Okay. Any more questions for Dave concerning his proposed DOT budget amendment? Okay. I would entertain a motion to amend the budget then.
So move.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's moved and seconded to amend the IDOT budget with the, for Carroll County. And I think it would be important to document in the minutes exactly what changes you're making to this budget as a matter of record, you know.
Expenditures, yeah.
Expenditure.
Increasing.
So Courtney will need a copy of that.
And I mean, if you could maybe email me the original, and I can see too, because I probably have it, but you have easy access to it, you could just email it, that would be great.
This one.
Yeah, the first one we did.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, those would be my comments. Are there any other comments or any other discussion on the motion which we have to amend the DOT budget? Okay, hearing no other discussion, let's vote on the motion to amend the IDOT budget. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. Motion carries. Okay, motor grader discussion.
Last week, I got notification from, from Caterpillar for our fuel reimbursement program. The machine that we bought last year is consuming 1.62 gallons per hour on an average more than their guaranteed burn rate, which was 4.5 gallons, consuming 6.12 gallons per hour. They agreed for 3 years to give us $1 an hour for that. And for the end of the calendar year here for this particular machine, we'll be getting $678.78 in the form of a credit. Apparently, they've extended this program to June 30th. It expired, the beginning of it expired at the end of 2015, in December. They've extended it to June 30th. So if we would purchase a grader, this program would be available for a grader we would purchase. And we'd have to just get it on site here for the beginning of July and make the agreement. We could pay after that. Could amount to $6,000 maybe if the next one has the same fuel consumption rate.
That's assuming that the new grader would perform like the one you have now, that's good fuel consumption.
So we just got one grader on this program?
Just one, yeah. That was the carrot that they put out there last time for us. And it appears that it's available again. Just wanted to let you know, we've got one budgeted. We could do it. There would be nothing wrong with buying it now. There'd be the potential to save some money on fuel. Or we could wait
Okay.
and skip the program.
Maybe I'm not understanding it right. They're burning more fuel than what they had spec'd or what they had calculated.
Right, yeah. They're
But now
guaranteeing it won't burn more than 4.5 gallons an hour, and it's burning 6.12 gallons per hour. And most of our, these newer machines are burning in the 6 to 7 gallon per hour range. And anything over 4.5 gallons an hour on an average, they'll reimburse us $1 a gallon. And right now, for this period, at the end of December, which was 3-4 months on this particular machine, it burned 419 gallons, or 419 hours. It burned 1.62 gallons, or $678 worth.
So my question would be, unless I'm missing something, is if we kind of moved ahead with another purchase so it falls under this program, what are we gaining? If it's just using more fuel and they pay us back, but we're not gaining anything, are we? Except after the program's over, it burns more fuel than
Yeah.
necessary?
Well, we would be gaining $6,000, because if we miss that, if we go beyond the 30th of June, they won't have this program, and we'll still be burning the fuel.
So there's no fix for it? I
There's
mean,
no
it's
fix.
so from this point going forward, they're just
It's
gonna start
burning.
using more fuel?
It's just burning the fuel, yeah.
And this is a credit
This is a credit.
on,
Parts, any sort of sale that you might do with them.
okay.
So,
So is there a time that has to be used?
There
That
is.
credit?
Mhm.
yeah. But we shouldn't have any trouble using it.
Okay.
You can burn that up just in filters.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't take much in parts to use $600 with CAT.
It says here that the issued credit will expire December 31st of the year it's issued in. So this first credit that we got for this initial one, we would need to use it up.
Wow. Well, do they always issue them about this time of year?
This,
It's the first time I've seen it.
this is the first time we've ever had it. and
See, if
you
they'd
won't
issue
really
them-
see it.
If they'd issue them in December, you don't have a few days to use it.
Yeah. The next year should be a full year, which would be roughly 1,300 hours. That's what we put on a year, and if it's at the same burn rate, 1,300 each times 1.6, could be a couple $1,000 credit next year.
Mhm.
And so if we let this program go by, we won't get the credit. The machines are still gonna consume the money. and
Okay,
use
that
the
explains it
fuel.
to me. It's not like there's a fix for it coming or something
No.
like that. It's like,
No, they're all fuel hogs, all these new ones are, but they're big engines too. They're close to 300 horsepower. And,
All emissions.
yeah, it's a lot to feed. Apparently, they're thinking that that's what the average is.
Okay. Well, part of it, for me, would depend on how bad we need another machine now, you know. If we do need another one, we could save a few bucks, but I don't know if this is enough to justify. just
Well, I
going
think all
and
you're
buying
saying,
one.
Dave, is if we do it, we should get it so we get it in place before the first year and pay for it after next year.
Yeah.
Just to get on this program.
If we want to take advantage of this, there's a potential savings of $6,000 here, roughly. The next one burns that, you know.
And we're talking calendar year?
We're talking fiscal year.
Fiscal year.
Is when this expires. They've apparently extended it. This program will be offered from May 1st, 2015 to June 30th, 2016.
So we have until June 30th, which, to make a decision.
Well, we'll have to have the thing here. We'll have to have the deal done.
Cut a deal.
And
Okay.
then pay for it the next year.
Okay.
This actually didn't come from the salesman, surprisingly. Just didn't have the opportunity.
He'll be in.
Perhaps I'm being cynical, but, you know, they're just gonna make it up in the price of the new one. I mean,
Sure.
they have protected territories, you can't bid these things. If you buy a cat, you gotta buy it from Ziegler Cat. And so,
Yeah.
it's 6 of one, half dozen the other, the way I see it.
Is this something we want to talk about some more? You just broke the news to us on this today, so.
Yeah,
Expected.
but I'd budgeted a grader for next year.
Yeah, we
Okay.
gotta buy one anyway.
I'll budget one for every year coming unless we get,
Okay.
really in dire straits, because we consume a grader a year,
Yeah.
basically. And the amount of hours we run, we consume one, and if we quit doing it, we're gonna probably have engines and transmissions down the line. We could go that route too.
Right. There was only 1 year we didn't buy one, and then we bought 2 the
Then we
following
bought
year.
two, yeah. But it's basically, if you look at our fleet, we put on 12 to 15,000 hours a year in our fleet. And
Oldest one's about 18 years old.
it is, yeah. In fact, if I can find it here.
Dave, on the one that was in the shop with the transmission issues, have they figured that one out yet?
They did. We sent that transmission off to get repaired. It was a valve body that broke, actually, that caused that one to fail. And that's the first failure. Actual failure, I hate to say it, but probably we've had 5 transmissions in 30 years that I can think of since we've been buying these machines. We were running about that many in 1 year with the former machines we were using. And that's not an exaggeration. I don't think we ever hit 5 in a year, but we hit easily 3 in a year after year.
15 graders in the fleet. I think
15
that's
graders in the
right.
fleet, and that's something I wanted to ask about too, is the number of graders in the fleet. I'd actually like to increase that by 1. These are the actual hours at this time of year, taking off our time cards. The 2 in the lighter color, and the 1189 and the 1262, I made an estimate on that, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty close. We've got 13 territories now in the wintertime, we've got 8 in the summertime. The 13 territories in the winter, that leaves us with 2 spares. This winter, just lately, we've had a couple of them down. We had one with hydraulic issues that we couldn't discern where the problem was, and they've discerned it now. And then this one with the transmission that we didn't do in-house, we sent away. There's a couple of pictures of it. Just because we wanted to get it done. And
That'd
not
be a
without-
blast taking one of those apart.
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
you just take her apart, strip her down.
God for Mike.
Yeah. They built their tandems on it, the Ziegler's estimate was around 43,000 on that. And, I'm pretty sure we're gonna have 14 plus in the transmission and 4 plus in the differential. That's the one in that box there behind. But our remove and install should be less because Mike and Bill, the cat guy, are doing that. And Mike's rebuilding the tandems, so that's just parts and our own labor. So we should have just an excellent machine once we get done there. If I talk about the machines a little bit, the first 8 on the chart up to Lanesboro are the the joystick operated ones, the 140M, they got M, M2, and M3. The Halber and the Lanesboro, the oldest two joystick operated ones are tandem drive, and the remaining 6 are all-wheel drive. The Halber machine, we've had more trouble with it than we have had with any one of these machines. It's had its engine redone, dropped a push rod a while back. That's why it's got less hours. It's sequentially where it should be by year, but it's got less hours on it compared to the Lanesboro machine. The next 3, 3106, 1305, and 1204, are 140Hs of the last series, which was the highest horsepower, probably best graders that we've ever owned. 1305 is the one that we're doing the transmission on right now with the 11,097 hours on it. We intend to keep these quite a while. We think that they're very productive machines, and the guys really like running them, and they've got a lot of power. The remaining 4 are older Series H machines. If we would trade one off, it would be the last one on the list, that 2001, unit 3100, with 13,000 hours on it. But I'd like to ask you to think about maybe allowing us to keep that rather than trading that off. This probably has a value of somewhere, I would say, in the $60,000 range. Last year they offered us 62. We told them that, well, we could take another 8,000 off, which they did on the trade. They made it a $70,000 trade. But to hear our neighbors talk, that's about where we are with the trades right now, and that the market is not as good. They've got plenty of them. There were a few times this winter to where we didn't have any spares, and a couple times to where we had to send the guy into the territory with a loader or something just to push back with that, because we had another, all our spares were broke down, and it's really nice to have these spares when we need them, because usually when it comes time to push snow, we'll have the guys and we'll stick them in a spare machine to go out and help others that are behind, or where it's a little bit worse, or put them in a loader so our truck drivers will come off the road, and once the paved roads are open, and then they'll go into the territories where we really need them, where a lot of the work is, where it really takes a couple of days of hard work to get things cleaned up, or more if it really blows, to get it pushed back and cleaned up. So the more machines we can put out there, the faster that happens. Seems to me that we've had 16 before, but I wouldn't want to say that with any honesty. It used to be, when I first came back in the early 70s, we had 14 winter territories. And granted, these were smaller machines, horsepower-wise, back then. And we also had 2 4-wheel drive trucks. We had about a loader and a half that we'd send out, but the 4-wheel drive trucks had their own territories too that they would go out. So in essence, we had 16 territories in our gravel roads. Now with the bigger, stronger machines, we're running 13 territories. But when it comes to plowing snow, sometimes you really make hay with these bigger machines. Other times not. It's just a matter of getting over the miles. And so I'm not asking you for a decision on that today, but I'm asking you to think about it, talk about it. We've kind of talked about it. Think it would be a good thing. You feel kind of helpless when you lose a machine out of a territory, especially, well, what are we going to do in that area? How are we going to make up for it? We're going to have other guys come in, or just what are we going to do? And usually the spare is the answer. And the machines are going to break because it's kind of an abusive situation.
Dave, do your spares get used just in the winter? Or if you need a spare in the summer, do you just use a winter machine?
We'll use a winter machine in the summer. There's times when Al will send out more blades in the summer, or we'll keep our 12 territories or our 13 territories for a longer distance. The spares, the last two, you know, the first spares are gonna be those three that I was telling you about, those
Sure.
those H's that really perform well. They're the ones that everybody will run to.
That's these guys here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll run to them first, and then the others come in later. But yeah, they always get used. I didn't look at it in the past, but we do have an hour spreadsheet where we keep track of the hours, and it's a few of them get missed here and there, but you can kind of see from year to year how much they get used. And in a bad winter, you could use the spares, the main line spares, as much as 600 hours. And where a mainline machine would be, I was used as little as 900 and as much as maybe even 1,400. But generally 11 to 1,300 is a good average for that. Even the spares will get used a couple hundred hours in a bad winter.
Yeah, my recollection is you didn't have anything over 12,000 last year when you showed this to us.
Yeah. So
So they're getting used.
we're setting pretty good, really.
And that's gonna even these out too, as they get used more, they're gonna even them up.
Yeah.
Is there any other options, Dave? For example, do dealers have
Pardon me.
used ones on the lot that they would lease out for a few months if you'd get into a bind?
Maybe so. I don't know with snow removal equipment. I know they've got used ones on the lot. I've even thought, these new ones are getting so complex. There's 7 computers on the newest one. And I watched them work for hours on a warranty wire check, trying to find out just why the front wheel drive was intermittent. And they finally found a little bare spot on a wire down in the engine compartment next to the solenoid that drove the pump, or told the pump to run the front wheel drive. And it was just a really thin little piece, and that would bounce against the frame and ground it out and shut it down, and then it would come back. But they're getting like the cars.
So, my concern with just this, toying with the idea of leasing as opposed to owning an extra one, is the availability situation. I don't, or if it's even possible.
Yeah, I think, once, we're kind of at the bottom, when we get down here, and they'll go down a little bit, but they're not rocket shipping down in value. If we decide that this is,
Okay.
a poor decision, we could, sell it off and get the money for the thing.
Right.
But I don't think it's gonna draw a whole lot.
Trade two in a future year, huh?
Yeah.
That's another option, sure.
Yeah, it could turn out, this could go sour on a guy, the guy could want to blow up on you, and there you'd be with having to stick a bunch of money into a machine and have to keep it.
Okay.
But you guys think about it.
So, a couple things you've left us to think about. One is the new one with this overreach carryover, and the other one is to keep an extra spare.
Yeah. He'll get me some, I asked him for numbers on 3 machines just to peruse. I didn't ask him to look at any trade-ins. I don't. Do you want me to have him price a trade-in? It takes a little effort on his part to look at that machine to price the value.
Well, I think that'd be good information to have. I'm always glad to have extra information. We'd know the value of the machine and from their perspective anyway. Okay.
I agree.
Anything else on the graders, Dave?
That's it. I had a drain down, but it fizzled. It turned out that we didn't need to do anything with it. It was a question, so I like those.
Fixed itself?
It kind of.
I like those.
Self-healing, that's new.
Do you ever go back and refill holes on drains that you've repaired?
Yes.
Another one out there, Dean's,
Yeah.
the water came in, the water went through, that made a hole. I'll talk to you about it.
I got a call on one this morning down in, it's one we've worked on in drain 67. It's up Ronnie Schultes' 7's acting up again, Union Section 7. It dries up, I'll go down and take a look at it and flag it.
Yeah. Courtney was talking about about the assessments, and we'll have to get that stuff straight with Georgie Johnson, get an estimate on that, so we can get enough on that drain, and I've got another one just north of there. But yeah, I think once they get out in the field, they're gonna find quite a few drain issues.
Thank you.
Thank you too,
Thanks,
Dave.
Dave.
Have a good week.
Bye-bye.
Okay. I think at this time, we're ready to go into closed session. Everybody here that you want here then? Okay. All right. I think we've discussed this. It's 10:10, and I would entertain a motion to go into closed session for Iowa Code 21.5I.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
I'll second that motion.
Then a motion is made and second to go in closed session. Is there any discussion on that? Does this have to be by roll call vote to go in?
Yes. Bach?
Yes.
Beardmore?
Yes.
Shepherd?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Dancer?
Yes.
Motion carries.